Korea's own collectivism and individualism in conjunction with Korea's own culture, we, as an alternative for a better society. Collectivism is unique to Koreans and is positively expressed in the cultural sector, when the concept of we, unique to Koreans, is created as cultural content. The concept of we is developing into a field that impresses foreigners who are unfamiliar with it. However, there are other very negative phenomena of collectivism in the political and economic fields. What is needed to overcome this negative phenomena is healthy individualism. Only by adopting healthy individualism can Korean society become a society with a truly democratic society. In the text, I would like to examine how collectivism and individualism in Korean society are expressed in the fields of culture, politics, and economy. First, cultural capital of Korean society. Koreans say our home, our daughter, our country. They say our husband, not my husband. When someone says my husband, they laugh at you. You're not the only one who has a husband. Westerners who are individualistic even after falling into the water say, help me, save me. But Koreans say, safe person. Koreans call others by family names like brother, sister, like older brothers and younger brothers, and form a kinship community. It is such family-centered collectivism that even Korean idols endure hard training according to the discipline of the group when they were trainees. Korea, China, and Japan share Confucianism and Buddhism. What's the difference? China is Taoist, Japan is Shinto, and Korea is shamanistic. This is where the three countries are different. Unlike Taoists and Shintoists, Korean shamanism always takes singing and dancing as religious rituals. When I go to karaoke with foreign friends are surprised to see Koreans running around and playing, saying, there are only Koreans who play like that. Koreans also sing and dance at the campaign site. Go into the collective spectacles during the World Cup and look at the enthusiastic energy that Koreans emit. The frightening novelty is now spreading around the world. The characteristics of Korean-specific collectivism are also well shown in the film sector, which has recently become popular in the world. The recent movie about Admiral Lee Sun-shin's Battle of Hansan, the appearance of a dragon, illustrates how the Korean people's historical consciousness of we was used to fight against Japanese soldiers in the Imjin War. Even the general who fought against Japan during the Imjin War admitted that he fought for the sake of the people, not for the king. We knew from the start that we are inferior to the enemy in every aspect, from the size of weaponry to fighting skills. Then why did we seal the gate and take up arms? It is to protect our family, our friends, and our country from the Japanese invaders who have infringed upon our lives with their swords and muskets. There is no weapon greater than unity. If we stand without fear, as one, victory will be ours. Constable Kim Shin-min of Jinju Fort, named Lord Sanglak in the 37th year of Seonjo's region, received the posthumous title of Chungmu, which means loyalty, chivalry, in the 35th year of Sukjong's reign. Immortal Admiral Lee Sun-shin, episode 80. It is an anti-Japanese military organization created by the people called 의병, an unexpected existence when the Japanese army was occupying Chosun with a crushing force. While describing Admiral Lee Sun-shin's achievements, the film explains well that the Korean culture, which is rooted in the concept of we, created a guerrilla organization called the Righteous Army, which we love ourselves beyond the concept of a dynasty or emperor. In addition, Korean audiences who see such concepts once again in movies become enthusiastic about the narrative, and foreign audiences who encounter this new concept of we also feel cathartic toward this concept. Behind the cultural expression of collectivism, there is also individualistic rebellion. Some of the Korean MZ generation, the new generation born in the 1990s and 2000s, even including the 1980s, representing individualism, do not like this atmosphere of collectivist enthusiasm. The innate rejection of the concept of we and individualism that values individual tastes and individual rights meet and have a sense of rejection of Korean culture. However, this phenomenon also greatly reduces the rejection of the concept of we of the MZ generation by portraying traditional elements to suit the taste of the MZ generation in modern movies and dramas, giving them room to develop such content in the individual tastes. However, the conflict between collectivism and individualism in Korea is extremely visible in the political field. The Conservative Party in Korea, collectively referred to as the Conservative Party, is a culture dominated by collectivism of the older generation, and conflicts within the party are severe due to the recent attitude of the young party leader in his 30s not respecting the older generation. However, the younger generation is once again disappointed by the fact that rather than pointing out the party's leader's attitude fairly, they're trying to isolate him by the power of the group and exclude him from the organization. The Democratic Party and the Justice Party, commonly referred to as progressive parties that can be seen as pursuing change and innovation, are making efforts to cut off the collusion and corruption of existing vested interests. In Korea, the politicization of collectivism is severely revealed in the politicization of the prosecution. The prosecution is large with conservative parties and extremely reluctant to move for a change in progressives. The current political situation in Korea can be seen as a battle between the younger generation, which is united by these existing political collectivist forces, and individualist tendencies pursuing change. In this situation, it can be seen that existing collectivism has many more disadvantages than advantages. It is the collectivism of Korean politics and society that avoids change, improvement, and reform, and is interested only in the gains of existing vested interest. Therefore, healthy individualism should be further developed and applied to advanced political culture. Individualism is different from egoism. Individualism protects the voice of change that can be sacrificed to individual rights and group voices. Rather, this is an idea that should spread more in Korean society, which has chosen a democratic system. In the West, individualistic political culture took root well. In Denmark and Sweden, for example, lawmakers ride bicycles and engage in political activities as volunteers. The position of a lawmaker does not encroach on himself or his surrounding family, but is only a role. However, in Korea, politicians still have a low-level culture in which people around them grovel and abuse their power like aristocrats in the past Joseon dynasty. To break this down, healthy individualism must dig deeper into the Korean political culture as soon as possible and improve it. The economic capital of Korean society. In Korea, the symbol of economic capitalism of collectivism is an apartment with a famous brand name. Which brand of the apartment I live in determines my economic class. For example, a worker at a large company living in a Remian apartment complex is recognized as middle class in Korea. Of course, there is a perception that living in an apartment called Remian is guaranteed to some extent professionality. This economic capitalization of collectivism developed into collective selfishness. If a rental apartment complex is built in from front of my good apartment complex, there absolutely exists the phenomenon of opposing the development of the rental apartment complex. This is typical of the NIMBY phenomenon. Disillusioned with this economic collective egoism, the recent younger generation is choosing new lifestyles such as small houses, peanut houses, and farming. It is to abandon the life where my identity is buried in a specific apartment complex and choose a lifestyle where I can step on my own house and land. This is an alternative individualism that can alleviate the side effects of economic collectivism. Also, the new concept of job style and jobless represents individualism. It is to choose from time to time and do various things without looking at others' faces and which organization I should belong to. Unlike the culture of the older generation, which was important to which conglomerate I worked for, it is the phenomenon of economic individualism these days that I choose to work when I want, earn money freely, and live freely. Korean moral education. In Korea, moral education has mainly focused on cultivating a mind of conformity to collectivism. That is true since the Joseon dynasty. It has been the basis of moral education to value filial piety, humanity, and etiquette based on deep-rooted Confucian ideas. However, moral education is changing little by little these days, as how to love oneself, how to protect one's identity, and how to love others while loving oneself are spread through various media outlets. The education of children and of the younger generation is also in this context. More and more young parents are no longer limited to Confucian and cultural education in the past, but are trying to teach their children how to live as true selves. This phenomenon can also be seen as a phenomenon where individualism is spreading positively within the family. Even my parents, their values have changed a lot from before. It is changing into a tendency to value one's happiness and to keep a distance from one's children's work. This is not just a change not only for my parents but also for Korean parents who gained enlightenment after experiencing conflict with their children. Healthy individualism in conjunction with Korea's own we. Still, there is hope in Korea's own unique feeling we culture. Since Korea is entering into a multicultural state where lots of Koreans are getting married to foreigners, Korea is faced with new social issues to overcome national purity toward diversity within unification. The country of Korea developed the collectivism of we through its unique lyrical feeling of Han. This is emotionally touching, but it is often a disadvantage to rational judgment and rational organization management. The monster-like phenomenon caused by collectivism is the phenomenon of not being able to punish according to the rules, and the phenomenon of victims suffering more. Brave individuals are speaking out with healthy individualism to address these social evils, but it's still not enough. Basically, it is necessary to reestablish the rule of law based on individual rights and victim-centered thinking. In addition, it is necessary to break down the link between politics and business and develop a more advanced political culture. Only when such a political culture is preceded can collective selfishness in the economic field be resolved. Group consciousness will not change at once. However, Korea achieved its present country through many sacrifices and chose a democratic system. If so, we should manage the democracy properly.